Welcome back, fraud department.
What's up? What's up, everybody? We are back here in this great month of November. It's not the first of the
Yes,
month, it's the second of the month,
the
but
second of the
we're
month.
blessed.
Let's see. Fall is falling. I am currently live somewhere north of Chicago. I don't even know exactly where I'm at the Lakeside Forest Preserve. It's so gorgeous out here. This isn't even the best scenery. I'll show some more scenery later, but oh, I know where I'm at. Actually, it's a little town called Wakanda,
This is,
Illinois.
you can't make this up.
No, I can't make it up. So now I'm in Wakanda, and yeah, we have a lot to talk about today. A lot of things
Speaking
to
of
talk
fall, you know
about.
what's falling? The empire is falling. That's what's falling. So
Olympus is falling.
we are one
Um,
whole month into a government shutdown. There's a whole lot of uncertainty, unrest. SNAP is being cut, EBT, jobs, people being laid off, job shifting, you know, corporate, Amazon, Microsoft are the latest, I think like 20 to 40,000 people.
oh, really?
Yeah, these are cities worth of people just being,
Yeah.
let go.
That's more than are in the current city I'm in, I bet you. I look up the population of Wakanda.
Yeah, and it's just like another week in the news. Like these are some of the largest layoffs since 2020, but it feels like 2020 wasn't that long ago, but it kind of was. So,
Yeah, we're about to hit 2026. So
right.
so
But
it's
just
been
as far as
about
the effects of it, I mean, it was
yeah,
kind of felt like 2020 felt like 2 years. Like it felt like, a sequence of years back to back.
it did.
2020 is like a feeling, it's an emotion, I feel like. It's like for the first people, a lot of people
Cold.
like me, it was our first experience of a recession or, obviously a pandemic, worldwide disaster of sorts. So seeing that type of response is crazy. But we do have this
So
video.
the current disaster is what's going on in these United States of America. But yeah, what do you have? There's so
United
much to start
ish.
off with. We're just gonna keep our conversation going. I'm not even gonna try to outline this one. We're just going to talk about what comes up. But yeah, what you got? Let's
All
see the
right,
video.
let's run it.
The impact is already being felt, and the economic strain is growing, hitting federal workers first. We spoke with several who tell us, among other things, they're feeling hopeless and depressed, already missing one paycheck, and now facing the possibility they may miss a second.
I'll just keep on hoping and uh, praying that things will change.
Feeling a bit lost, aimless. We're in week 4 now. Frustration, not knowing what's going to happen next. Where your next meal going to come from?
Just blocks from the Capitol, outside of the Department of Transportation, that's where many employees who haven't been working since the federal shutdown began lined up at World Central Kitchen to receive a hot meal. The uncertainty here in D.C. could soon be felt across the rest of the country.
And it is. So this was about, Section 8 housing and government shutdown and stuff like that. But this is affecting pretty much all programs. Like
Yeah.
I'm applying
So
for
is section 8 for the landlords and the property owners? Is that still being funded?
based on this article, it looks like if the shutdown continues past November, new vouchers won't be issued. So I think they were issued for the month of October. But moving into the next month, if they're shut down, then no, they will be responsible for their portion, you know. So yep. I mean,
This
it's
is
one of those things
crazy.
where and I think the thing is now this time I feel like it really is affecting everybody. Like even like,
Yeah.
well-paid scientists are feeling the effects of not
Yeah,
being able to.
that was see, and that's the thing this time. So because my first reaction when it comes to government employees and all that is that this is not the first government shutdown. Okay. So if you continue to sell your soul to the government, and we'll get into selling your soul to corporate America, to the government, to your job in just a few minutes. But if you choose to continue to do that, then you need to prepare yourself because I know in my adult life, the government shuts down every other year. I mean, it's not, this is not a new thing. So you might want to, coming into these months, based on the political climate and things that we've observed in the past, go ahead and use that information to adequately prepare yourself for the future. I know, like for me, I have to prepare, when I'm self-employed, when I'm working in certain industries, I have to prepare myself for the downtimes. And quite frankly, every year about this time could be a downtime for government. Government employment is not the safe thing it used to be. It used to be you could go work for the government and you'd be taken care of. Not so much anymore. The government, these companies, these corporations, they don't care anything about you or what your needs are.
No. And I think
it's just like a big, I don't know, sometimes these things should be like big wake-up calls. Like stop waiting on government cheese and get up and get out and get something. I know that's probably the unpopular opinion because everybody's feeling these effects, but sometimes growth and movement and ascension and upward mobility comes in these times of discomfort. You may not get up and do anything different than what you're doing every day unless you have to.
Yeah. And I feel like the benefit of having these mass shocks of the system is that it kind of pulls everybody away from buying into whatever they're force feeding us. You know what I mean? And so I feel like that's kind of a good thing, but we know that, everyone's situation is different. You know what I'm saying? And so
yeah,
some people, this is their first introduction into like, if you're new to America in general, like this is like
the people I really feel for, I mean, out of the, what is it, 12% or so of the US population that receives benefits, there is, not, I don't think every single person, there, people have another way. Okay. You can, people can tighten up, people can, get help here and there, whatever, but there is a section of the population, some of the elderly, and things like that really have no other option. Like really, they're not going to eat. Like, and it's just, those are the people that I really feel. I mean, it's it's sad for anybody if your free ride, comes to a stop. We all love a free ride, but there are people who really, really need that, and it's unfortunate that people are caught up in all this like political buffoonery.
Yeah, I think that's the other part about it too, is that I was watching a video and it was kind of describing that someone that works for I forgot what agency, but they basically help distribute food. They work with they worked with the what was that thing? Basically, they distribute the ugly food. You know what I'm saying? They collect the ugly food.
Ugly food. What is the ugly food?
You know what I'm saying? The produce.
Yeah, the stuff that gets.
Yeah, they basically food waste. They're preventing food waste and distributing it. But anyways, they were saying that this government shutdown feels mean because of the
this one's intense.
Intentional.
They're shutting down everything. It's not just the government's now shut down. Before this, everything was shutting down. Like
yeah. And this is, but this is what he said. Like he's like, we're cutting off these loose ends. He's like, nah, and we are the loose ends. The poor. like when you do a crime, right? And you got somebody that solved the crime, it's like, nah, we got to get rid of them. Like we're them. Like we're
them.
Yeah, we're them. And so whether it's Social Security, whether it's SNAP, whether it's anything but the IRS and Congress, you know what I'm saying? And they rocking out. It's all good. It's all good for those type of people. You know what I mean? And so there's this large disconnect. And like I said, I was talking to you about that, how the AI shift and they're claiming that these new jobs are being created. It's like, hey, yo, I tore down 50.
It's all in how you spin it, though. It's all in how you spin it.
Yeah.
So
I tore down 5011 project units, but I just made 250 high luxury units in this same spot. And I'm only quoting that last.
I displaced 10,000 people. Yeah, I created 100 jobs, but I displaced 10,000 people doing it. So, yeah. No, I feel that.
Not 100 jobs, 100 poor paying jobs, 130,000 or less jobs, 100.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? And that's the thing too. They're not giving people upward mobility. And what they're doing now is They're removing people that did
Right.
really good at their jobs for the last like 10 years that kind of made the company so efficient that they don't need them anymore. I saw a post about this guy that works at Twitch. Twitch is a gaming platform that a
Yeah,
lot
they
of people are
worked
using.
themselves out of jobs. Yeah.
Yeah, he was head of cybersecurity and all that type of stuff. Oh, not just cybersecurity, but how fraud happens within the system. So people are like getting money out of the Twitch platform that don't deserve it. And so now he made it to where he created all these systems that are automated. Now he's been fired. And so Twitch was acquired by Amazon, and he was making 200 like plus thousand. He was making really good money. But that's the thing, when you make such good money, it's like, do we even need your ass? Like, we're getting rid of this whole department. Like, see ya. You are now a computer. One little room. They're gonna replace that room of cubicles with a room of highly functioning CPUs and GPUs and a whole bunch of stuff that we don't understand. So yeah, it's tough. And this is happening at the tech giants that we look at as, secure for people that are into that type of stuff, into tech. But, there's not articles coming out now like the handymen are going to be the millionaires of the 2030s because
like no
no
cap.
one else can do it.
In some of the matrix work that I do, when I see
Plumbing,
these invoices from the plumbers, these like water mitigation companies, restoration companies, construction type things, they're getting all the coins, all of them.
Yeah.
All of them.
Yep. And so another thing is just to talk
the
about
quote unquote dirty jobs are things that can't necessarily be replaced by AI. But I don't know. Maybe they could create a robotic plumber that could go in and assess your situation. And
yes, but there's so many things like that come with that require more plumbers to be involved in that dissemination. You know what I mean? Like, you really can't just have somebody behind a desk. You know what I mean? Like, you're gonna have to have a plumber back
the
there.
robots are not autonomous. They have to be.
Exactly. No one trusts them. No one trusts them because you're going to create more damage. The thing is, robots, when they're making stuff in the warehouse and producing things and moving things about, that's all their risk. If Amazon messes up, they got to fix that. But when they're going to something that's already messed up, there's water, there's, and they don't make waterproof robots yet either. That's another big problem.
Oh, the circuitry.
Think about the robot has to be able to get in tight corners and spaces that, these arms, like it's just not the same. But I wanted to bring up this other point about this move away from, like you said, government reliance into more autonomous and digital forms of like entrepreneurship. And so it kind of,
or even just wait, and not just that. When you say that, also like moving back into more of the village environment. You know what I'm saying? It takes a village to raise a child. And
if you look at any of these development, I mean, like when you drive, I mean, especially in Georgia, driving South Fulton, West Fulton, South Atlanta, like there's always just forests being torn down, more neighborhoods. And I saw this video. It was actually a TikTok between, how there'll be two neighborhoods right next to each other. Like if you're at the back of a house and you're at the back of another house in a neighborhood, they're really close, but you can't get to them. And so they actually took like 8 to 12 miles to get to two houses that were only a couple hundred feet apart. And that just goes to show how much extra just wasted time and stuff that they put us through to put us in these isolated environments to exist like this. You know what I'm saying? Because if your neighborhood isn't owned by my neighborhood, we're not on the same page as far as how we do. There's no actual intention behind creating community other than money. And that's the only thing that makes development happen. Capital. So that's the unfortunate part.
And it's the illusion of community, because even, like when we lived in Hampton Mill, I mean, we were cool with who we were cool with, but being in that community didn't create any sense of anything for me, but a lot of people join or they'll move into certain subdivisions thinking that they're going to have friends and everybody's going to drink wine on the patio at night and just be, and everybody's going, I'll be able to go next door and borrow a cup of sugar. And no.
I think the problem is too, that's not the
it's just all illusion.
Like, no matter what type of design you make a place, you can't change the culture. You can't change the way people are programmed in that society. So,
and their and they need to stop calling it communities. They're planned unit developments.
Right, but that sounds robotic. That
Period.
sounds cookie cutter.
That's what
That's
it is. It's very it's what it is. That's the truth.
right.
That's the fraud of it all. They sell you all this. They sell you the dream, just like the quote unquote American dream. Oh, I'm gonna work however many years, I'll retire, and then I'll travel and I'll go be great. And then no, you can't even retire when you need to. Ain't no more Social Security. And when you by the time you do get to retire, you're probably so broke down and can't really get anywhere, you know?
I mean, the retirement in and of itself is an expensive endeavor. You know what I'm saying? Just
Yeah, I know government employees right now that retired from their job almost a year ago and are still not getting their retirement benefits,
it's a
that monthly
risk.
payment. And so like,
Everything other
and some of the people that I know that are in this position, luckily for them, they have, you know, husbands, they may have working children, things like that, that can kind of pick up some of that slack. I said, but if you're somebody, say like me, that is a single person, if I retire from a job and now my retirement payment is not coming, that would be crippling,
you know what
you
I think
know?
is going on now?
And it's not right.
Hearing you talk
You
about
knew
this.
6 months in advance that I was retiring.
Yeah,
That
hearing
payment should
hearing
have been ready, like boom. Go ahead. I'm
Yeah, hearing
sorry.
you talk about this, I think what it really puts into perspective now with everything going on and how they're shaking stuff up for us is that
Hmm.
you know how we used to only care about the really, really poor?
Hmm.
Like, oh, you have to be so poor to get these benefits and not get access to these things, but then we're not really
Yeah.
gonna help you get economically ahead. We're just gonna keep you alive. So
Right.
now most people are struggling to where we're all
Basic subsistence level.
right. But just like that video showed you, everyone's paycheck to paycheck, whether you're making 200,000,
Right.
100,000, 20,000, it don't matter. And
Right.
so now no one feels bad for you because you have a high paying job. You have a car,
Hmm.
you have a
Right. Because
house,
you technically have the option to downsize. Most people, no matter how
but
much
you
you make,
don't.
most people max out their, you know, their housing and all these things based on their income. They're
Yeah,
not so yeah, check to check is the same whether you make 200,000 or 20,000. But when you're in the 200,000 range, you do have the option to I think there's less sympathy because you have the options to downsize. You don't have
right.
to buy that big ass house. Some people are living in a shack and literally don't know where their next meal is coming from, you know?
But the point is that the way things are set up, you have a mortgage, you have a mortgage, and you have an auto loan. And now
Yeah.
I was watching this video about how repossessions are at the highest point they've been in I think like 20 or 30 years or whatever. And so the rate of $1,000 or more car payments is the highest point it's ever been. And repossessions are really high. And so one of the reasons for that is that the automakers have been bailed out and have basically been told you can do whatever you want. So now they're only making high priced vehicles, like
Mm-hmm.
close to $100,000. And so if most people aren't really making that much more, but that's the only thing that's available on the market because having an older car is expensive, then what are people
Yeah.
going to do? They're going to have 70,000, 80,000, $90,000 car loans.
Right. Because heaven forbid they drive an older car.
Exactly, because that's the
No, you can't
programming.
do that.
Right. But if everyone stopped buying cars, there would be a shift in legislation, laws, like how they tax you on these things. Like all these things are put
Hmm.
together for a reason. You know what I'm saying? There's no rebates
Yeah.
and incentives on.
Yeah, I mean, we have the power to change all this, but we continue to be fueled by consumerism and all these things. Like, yeah, we could stop buying it. If we stop buying this nonsense, they will stop making it. Trust me. Like, no
Yes.
company wants their product sitting on the shelf. So, if we demand better, they will have to produce better. But we don't demand better.
Right.
So,
But I think what it brings into perspective with the government shutdown being at the forefront and background of all these things, whether it's actually affecting you or it's passively affecting you, it's
mhm.
like there's no standard anymore for how we're doing these things and how we're just boom pulling the rug from underneath you. Like they're pulling the rug underneath everybody.
Mhm.
Like
Yeah,
so
this is and wait and like and gosh, it feels like Trump's been in office for like for a decade. It's only been like 10 months.
aging us. That's what they're doing. They're trying to age America.
Oh my Jesus.
Like
Oh
we
Lord.
getting them Obama wrinkles only 1 year in. You know, when Obama got the grays and the salt and pepper, you know what I'm saying? Like it took some
Mhm.
time.
They're still fine though, but yeah.
Yeah, he still be out there doing the rallies and stuff, you know what I'm saying? Trying to get the voters. voters together. So right now, I wanted to bring this up. I kind of lost my train of thought, but one of the things in Georgia that we're voting for right now is the Public Services Commission, and they're the people that basically decide utilities and market rates and monopolies and who's allowed to charge what, how much money Southern Company can make on us and stuff like that. And so one of the big things going on right now is data centers. Data centers are popping up in Middle America, the Southeast. The West Coast, obviously, but it's really hot there. So Memphis, you know what I'm saying, where Tesla has their open AI and all this shit going on.
Oh,
So
is that where it is?
well, no,
Memphis?
so yeah, Memphis, there's a big thing going on because they're polluting this black community. Well, not just the black community, but they're really close to this area and they're pumping these generators that are really only supposed to be emergency generators, and they have like 30 of them. And they're, the amount of radiation that they're emitting from this area is like super
Oh,
unsafe. They're like, it's very bad. People are getting sick, like actively, you know what I'm saying?
yeah.
Polluting the water and stuff
Damn.
like that, taking a bunch of energy. But the point is, forget the environmental effects. They are literally saying because the way power is distributed, it's not efficient for us to distribute all this power across large areas. And so that costs money. And so to make it make sense, they divide that cost up amongst everybody that uses it. But we know we're not using the same amount of power that Microsoft and Google are about to be using at these data centers. And so what they
Right.
do is because they require more power than we do total, they get a cheaper amount. So if we look at it in kilowatt
Cheaper
hour,
rate, like a cheaper
yeah,
rate.
they're paying 50% of whatever our rate is, and you're gonna pay the cost for them to set up the infrastructure for them to even build the data center. Does that make sense?
Because it's bringing jobs.
It's not just that it's bringing jobs, but it's bringing more return for these utility companies because they're making money on the power. They are making
Yeah.
like the Public Services Commission basically decides they can make 9, 10, 11% on every dollar that they spend. That's their cap. And that's an official thing. Like we all agree that that's okay. They should be able to make a certain amount of money. They can't make 50%, they can't make 20%, but they can make
Yep.
9 to 10% overall. And so the
Yes.
Public Services Commission is usually ignored and it's usually, Republican, especially in Georgia, and they're about to decide for the next 2 to 3 years with these data centers coming out what this exchange is going to be and what our rates are going to be going for the next, 10 years. And so this is another thing I've been learning about that we should, be out there voting for because this is literally your utility bill every month is going to be decided by these 4 or 5 people in this room to say what type of deal are we going to give Elon and them? What type of deal are
Yeah.
we going
Now
to
I've
give?
lived. I can remember living back in the day at some apartment complex that was kind of set up like that, where you were basically billed like your pro rata share of the complex water bill. It wasn't the power bill, but it was like the water. I specifically remember the water bill. Your pro rata share was based upon just the size of your apartment. But my thing is like, even like, let's say for me, a person who's, kind of traveling and on the road 9 months out of the year, I'm only home one weekend a month. I only shower 3, you know what I'm saying? 3 days out the month. Why is my bill $200?
Not just
Well,
that.
because
Imagine on the penthouse floor, I was running a car wash inside of this building, and you had to pay this outward skewed number that shouldn't even be that high for the total building. That's what's going on with the data centers. And imagine somebody on the
yeah,
penthouse
so that
pulling
makes
all this
that
water.
that makes sense. That I don't know if they call it shared economic. I don't know how they try to sell it. But
I mean, in
yeah,
general,
that's
it
not
makes
cool.
sense to
That's
be
not
able to
cool.
get. So, if you want to have power up in the mountains all the way up, and you want to build you a house and pay taxes, okay, cool. We'll bring power to you, but it's not gonna. We're not making money on selling you power. We're gonna make money on selling people power closer to the city, closer to these suburban sprawls, and so we even all that cost out by dividing it up evenly, and then the government supplements, and then the state says we can make this much, and everybody's happy.
It's kind
But
of also like how, let's say you move into a house, let's say you purchase a home, the property taxes that you're paying, if you're below a certain age, and basically if you're still of childbearing age, if you could potentially
oh
deposit a
yeah, they
child
charge you.
into the public system, it doesn't matter whether you decide to send your child to private school or whatever, you're going to
Charge you.
pay an additional guap on your property tax bill for that impact
Seed bearing
the
age.
community. And I'm like, they're not charging these companies, these corporations anywhere near the like when you look at the ratio of what we have to pay impact wise per income versus what they have
Right.
to pay impact wise per their income. And it's like, no, the government is always on our back. Like, I just feel like, I know I often have the unpopular opinion, but there's a part of me that feels like a lot of what's going on now is going to shift people into doing something different. Like, let's do something different than sitting around waiting on some government cheese. It ain't
Yeah.
like, that's done. We're done with that. Like, that, those days, those times, like that era is over. And
Yeah,
I
and
don't think
I
it's
think
coming
they're
back,
showing.
or
I
it's
think
not
that
going to be stable. Even if you do get a little help, a little assistance here and there, it's not going to be stable, and you're not going to be able to depend on it. So figure something out.
I think one of the scariest things we can look at, let's look to Portland. If we know anything about Portland, we can actually look at their geography and how their infrastructure is set up as far as transportation.
Mhm.
And so one of the big things they have is really old bridges. And so, the government funds national infrastructure bills. And one of the big things that Trump is doing, because if you have a left city, they're basically like, we're not funding anything for you to renew. And so Portland is obviously on the West Coast. Portland can obviously have, earthquakes and things that could really negatively impact their city. And so if you look, you have all these bridges going across, their city, and they're trying to rebuild. I think it cost like a couple $100 million. And so they were basically had all these plans in line. And Portland is just one example. And the Trump administration is like, nah, we're not funding any of this stuff. So if they were to have an earthquake,
Portland, one of those refugee cities or like sanctuary cities as well
yes,
for
yes,
immigrants.
yes, they also decriminalized a whole bunch of drugs a couple years ago, like meth and cocaine. Like you know what I'm saying? Like did a whole bunch of stuff that
Okay,
if you're a conservative person, you would probably be like, they don't deserve to be funded. They don't
right.
deserve to take
They're
from
out
the
there just living wild.
exactly. And so if you look at that, this is literally like it's literally warfare because if something negative were to happen, they're showing you we're not going to respond to your cries. Like, of
Right.
course, LA, LA is like, hey, we care about them. They have some fires, California, whoop, whoop, whoop. But there's so many places that other people live that are being affected by these things day in and day out. You don't think about it when you're
And
just
what's this on
driving.
your screen? What are you showing us?
This is just a map of Portland. I was just showing the
Oh,
bridges, how the,
mhm.
the city would be cut if there were ever to be like a earthquake and the detriment that it would cause like economically and stuff like that. Um, you know,
And
like
and what's this? What prevents Trump from, because a lot of people don't understand too the way that our waterways and our water supplies are handled. What's to prevent Trump from instructing the Army Corps of Engineers to cut that water supply to wherever and all these different places?
California. So the thing is, he tried it in California with he released a bunch of water. So he didn't cut anybody off, but
Mhm.
remember LA or Southern California was, the water level was getting to a point where it was like, all right, what are we gonna do?
Yeah,
And
yeah, because
so Trump was like,
SoCal
release.
gets all their. That's why Southern California can't split off from Northern. They always want to have been trying to make it two states, but we have all the water in NorCal, so
Right.
like, y'all,
Shit runs downhill.
right?
But the point was that Trump wasn't able to do the whole part, but he was able to just flex. It was flex his power, and so he was able to release some water, which negatively affected a lot of people in Northern California. But no one really is going to talk about it because no one cares because they look at it like the whole state is affected by water, but it's
Mhm.
not that simple. It's a gradient. You know what I mean? Like if you pull all the water from my neighborhood to fuel this other neighborhood, now I'm in a drought,
Right.
but you don't care because I wasn't in a drought before. So, but you're causing, all these type of shifts and, it's just really crazy to see how much humans just in general, not just the United States, but we have created this complex
Mhm.
at the will. We could just press a button and,
Yeah,
blow
and
some.
this is what the ancient philosophers, these setups. Plato warned us long, long time ago, but this is what the ancient philosophers called civil societies. Okay, so
Yeah, things are too easy now. It's like we could just whoop, whoop, whoop.
yeah.
It,
So, but yeah, so and then there's another part of the government. While some people may be illusioned by the fact that they're being quote unquote helped by the government, I feel like the government does a lot to uh, not help people, a lot to I don't know, you got the ICE people, you got the DEA, you got, you
You
just
know
got
they still
all these,
funded.
oh,
You know
oh
they
yeah,
still funded, right? Yeah.
right. All the agencies that make your life hell are still being funded. Those are still there. And so for me, when I look at the big macro picture, the big cosmic macro picture, if you have been employed by a government that is doing these things, you are a part of the problem. So, and I know that's not what people want to hear,
Nobody
but
wants
if
to.
you have sold your soul, if you are doing things that don't feel right to you, if you're doing things to make other people's lives hell because you've been programmed, or somebody has made you somehow believe this is quote unquote the right thing, it's not. Now you're going to feel the effects. This is, karma. When it comes to judgment day, and when it comes
What
down
about people
to
that feel like they're being
life
helpful in their
review,
role?
you
Like,
don't get to say I
obviously,
was just doing my job. You don't get to say that. So
we don't have to get into specifics, but I know your role, some people can perceive as detrimental, or they're not doing anything. Obviously, it's not nowhere close to the government. It's a private corporation, but you're doing your best in your position, and you feel like you're helping people. There's probably a lot of people that feel the exact same way that work for government.
yeah.
What would you
Now
say
in
to
my
that?
role, without getting specific as far as what I do, or in my
No,
matrix
it's specific.
sponsor, there is a difference in what I do, because what I do is contract driven. So while people may think that, okay, you're the devil, I'm not paying you for something, but I'm not taking anything from you either. And it's just simple contracts. When you have government agencies that are going in and just harassing people living their lives, you know what I'm saying? We don't, I although I have to live under this government because I'm a citizen of this country, I didn't invite you in. I didn't enter into a contract with you or an exchange of services. So the role that I'm in is a little bit different, because it's a contracted exchange of services that, you just may not be happy with the outcome of,
You
what
want
you're
to be
entitled
away
to.
from
But
interaction.
but it's a lot different than, hey, I'm just living my, or even like the repo man, dude. If you driving a repo truck, I'm gonna need you to go find something else to do,
What you
because
mean? Well, hey,
I'm just saying, if you're
hustling.
going and taking some, if you're going and causing detriment, no matter how you
No, no,
justify
I'm
it,
gonna have to push back.
now you think the repos are good? You
I
think
don't
that's
think
cool?
anybody is good or bad, but how are you gonna get mad at a man? The only reason why he's there is because you got somebody else's ish. He's not there to steal. I would say you should be talking about the jack boys, the people smashing windows, not the repo. The repo man, he has
I no, and let me tell you why I say the repo man, because you're upholding a system that was already made to screw you over. Yes, you have somebody else's product. Yes, you have a vehicle that technically belongs to somebody else until you've paid it off. But the way that these systems are set up, it's like you're usually, a lot of times these people that are getting repoed, they're people that never should have gotten a loan in the first place. They were predatory lenders. They had these high interest rates that these people knew they would not be able
So
to.
why are we not talking about them? You're
Well,
not
we
talking
need
about
to
the white
talk
collar.
about
You talking about the
everybody,
blue
but
collar. I feel like the repo man is the lowest person you should be worried about in the system. He's the
I just feel like, as the repo man, you're a gatekeeper and you're holding up an effed up system. Yeah, we can talk about the system itself. We can talk about the NPCs that still go out and do these things. But at the end of the day, it's a cycle. And this cycle of karma affects everybody within the cycle of whatever that system is.
I look at it
So
because we are on the surface level. We're looking at the repo man. He's the closest person. That's like looking at the slave that's out here.
he's the direct, and that's the thing. He's the direct enforcer of the thing. And that's what makes him so bad, because without you, they can't enforce anything. They can't do this. You are the direct enforcer and gatekeeper of whatever bullshit is going on. It's not so much that, hey, yeah, everybody needs to make money, everybody needs a job, whatever, however you want to spend that.
I
But
agree with
I
that.
feel like
I
when
agree
you
with
are
that. Which is
enforcing some shit that's
correct.
already fucked up, then you're part of the problem, unfortunately. So,
Okay. Okay.
um,
So, okay. I mean, there's a lot of systems like that where there are people that
yes.
have to do their job. And I feel like
No,
I
but
feel
you don't
like
have to have that job. And that's the thing. Like for me, I feel like I don't want to have a job that isn't in alignment with my soul. And
right.
and like I couldn't go and do that to someone. Like, because I don't know the circumstance. I'm just being an NPC, being a robot. I don't know really what that circumstance is. And I've been in real estate for a long time, and I've seen people get wrongfully foreclosed on, wrongfully, you know, there's a lot of wrongfulness that goes on. So you're just going out here, you know, taking people's stuff, giving them a bad day. They might lose their job because they didn't make it to work today, you know, whatever the case is. And you don't get to just say, I was just doing my job. Nah, you did, and you don't even know, and you're doing it blindly because you don't know them people's account. You don't know that they were really late. You don't know what has happened. You don't know whether they have filed bankruptcy and stopped proceedings. Like, you don't know all that. You're just being a little NPC and going and taking somebody's car, and now it's what the parking war was it called? That show, Parking Wars, and it's, you know, you're just doing the most for $1 for money. You're doing this for money. And I just feel like when you do things like that, now when I had to go repo my truck from Buddy, I went and repoed my own truck. I did my own dirty work. You didn't pay me. And so, yeah, I had to go get that. Where was that? You went and got it. But yeah, thank you. But the point is, I'm not going to send somebody else to do my dirty work. That's the thing with these corporations. They got all these NPCs out here doing their dirty work. And maybe the repo man may not be the best example, but generally speaking, the government, all these fucked up corporations, they have regular working hardworking NPCs doing their dirty work. And at the end of the day, it is dirty work, dirty money, dirty work, all of it. So we got to find new ways of living, different ways. You know what I'm saying? Like, unfortunately, getting to New Earth isn't going to be a snap of the finger. Getting to New Earth isn't going to be a decision passed by Congress. Okay, it's not going to be passed by Congress. So we have to just start taking control. There are people who, I was watching some show, there are people who are living in all sorts of interesting places and ways, and just like the cycle goes around. We've kind of gone all the way up to the top where we can go, and now we're going to have to unfortunately come back down around and you know, and kind of get back to the basics.
Yeah.
And of course, nobody wants to hear that. Everybody wants to stay living in their fancy cush, you know, lifestyles. But that stuff was all built upon a lot of fraud. Like the fraud of these companies. A lot of people have gotten rich, even the employees. A lot of employees have gotten money, gotten rich. They got their 401ks, they got their retirements and their pensions, all on the backs or piggybacking off of these corporations that are scamming the people. And unfortunately, that karma comes with you. So you don't get to just say, I was just an employee, I didn't know.
Speaking of scamming, speaking of being an employee and just not knowing, speaking of the state of the economy, right now what we're seeing is an absorbent rise in sports betting, gambling, and forms of financial
sports betting.
So you know, gambling has historically been games like poker, and you know, casinos. Those are mostly male-dominated spaces. But in recent years, we've been able to get more women and female participants into these things, not just through sports, but also through these other forms of shopping. And so what they've now done is they gamified shopping. So now what they're doing is these drop boxes.
Like Temu?
These mystery boxes. So you know when you go on
Temu, horrible.
You go on Fashion Nova and they immediately hit you with a gift box.
Spin the wheel and
and then there's a clock running down, and so your brain is already calculating all these things, and you know you need to spend money. That's what they're trying to get you to understand. And then what they give you is virtual currency that is in some form correlated to real currency, but it's not. And so now your brain is having to juggle two different things at the same time. And the whole idea is to just get you to, you know, analysis paralysis and just spend.
Right.
So
and think you're missing out on something. So you got to hurry up and.
Right. So I made that point to say is that this is how they've got women's brains primed like males' brains are primed, because women are not going to put real money on the table as often and bet real money because they're more calculated and logical. Men are more emotionally attached to this feeling of winning and being on top. I don't really care about the money. It's that, you know, I'm
domination.
Exactly. So with the women now, what they're doing is they're selling these little furries and little toys and stuffed animals that are, you know,
like Beanie Babies.
Yes. So there's these things called labubus that are taking.
Oh God, I lost my earphone. Hold on. Wait. Labubus. It's like
God.
I can't. Okay. All right. Oh Jesus. All right.
All right, you
Excuse me. I'm
ready?
sorry. I wasn't expecting that. Labubus. Let's go. What are labubus?
All right, so if you go ahead and go to my screen, we have a Labubu. This is a Chinese doll that was created. These, cost a couple cents to make, but they now sell these
Cute.
in packs. And so what you're able to do is buy a Labubu situation, and
Uh-huh.
you're hoping to get a rare version, get a collector's item. And so they're able to get women now, and you're spending $45 on these Labubus. All right. So this is not a cheap
$45?
item. Yes. Yes. This is crazy. And so, these things are, new, but the whole idea is to prime your brain chemistry for taking risk. And so with the rise of gambling, we know that the economy is getting ready to crumble and fall because people are basically, oh, there's this other thing called the lipstick index, right? So basically this guy that has this one of these cosmetic brands, I can't remember, but what he noticed was
I'm
whenever
sorry.
there
I'm
was
still stuck on the boo boos. Go ahead.
right,
The day.
whenever there's a recession, like I think in the late 90s, early 2000s, as well as 2008, he saw the prices, not the prices, but the
Oh, the
sales,
99 and the 2000.
lipstick
Mm-hmm.
sales went up crazy. So people are buying more lipstick, and they found this across other small, like little luxuries. People are starting to buy more of these small luxuries because they can't afford to go on trips, they can't afford to buy cars, they can't afford to get large things. So they start buying more of these small little trinkets and things that make them feel whole and feel like they have,
Again, taking up more
like,
of the money that they could have saved to go on a trip.
no, but it's like, hey, I can't afford this $2,500 trip, so I'll spend 250 on some lipstick. I'll go ball out of Sephora for this weekend. You know what I mean? Like, I have enough money to do a little
That
bit.
makes them feel better, I guess.
It's not a yes, because it's like I
Like,
still,
what's the mentality behind that?
the mentality is that 70% of the US economy is built on consumer spending. So
Mm-hmm.
if you people aren't doing these little things, then this whole way of life that we have, being able to just drive around and just go from state to state and have all these things available to us, it wouldn't be here. So this way of living is how we are as Americans. So when you ask what's the mentality, it's the programming that we're all running on. So, but the thing
The
is,
Matrix.
whenever you pull a lever one way, the other one has to go in this other direction. So if people can't buy the flights to all these different countries and solo trips, now they're going to go ahead and just spend a little bit spend a little bit more money on small things that are kind
It's
of
just the act of spending makes people feel like they're in control or
yeah,
something.
they got to
Yeah.
spend the money. Nobody's going to let the money sit in their account. If they're like most Americans, like the way we're programmed is work, and you have to reap the rewards of your work by spending it. What's the point of working, getting digital fake money into your account online, and then not doing nothing with it?
Yeah.
Like think of like for all the work, because people don't look at money anymore. You have to stop looking at money when you're an hourly worker, like most of us. Like it's just a dollar. It's like how many hours did this cost me? I'm looking at
How many hours do I have to work
I'm looking at a couple
to?
hundred dollars in my couple hundred hours in my account,
Right.
not dollars.
Time is
And so
money.
depending on how many hours it costs you to make that money, you're gonna look at things differently. And so right now, the whole gambling situation, hey, I'll give you $1.50. If you put $1 into my shit, I'll give you $50 in credits on my sports betting app. I'll give you $100 in
Yeah.
back credits if you go ahead
Right.
and so it's a scary thing because they're getting more black men, they're getting more minorities, they're getting more people that are in, typical situations to go ahead and sign up for these things. I'm seeing Kevin Hart, I'm seeing LeBron, I'm seeing
Mm-hmm.
all these people that are, the pinnacle faces just pushing us down the same shit. And they usually have bigger messages that are more, talking about, investing and being smart with your money because they're not on these apps, but they're doing the commercials for them. So, it's just one of those things where you have to really look at it for what it is. A lot of people may idolize these people, these celebrities, like, oh my gosh, they're really for us. But it's like, they know you're going to watch this commercial. They know you're going to be influenced by seeing me on this.
Right.
They know it's going to be detrimental to you.
Mm-hmm.
Whether you drink
Go
Hennessy,
around like different
you know what I'm
departments.
saying?
Yeah.
Like the LeBron example. A lot of people hear LeBron because we know he's a really smart guy. And that doesn't really change the fact that we're all here for the dollar.
Mm-hmm.
Buck. So like, it's just one of those things you got to be aware and take the emotions out of it. because they don't have any, you know.
Mm-hmm.
Going to Vegas for the first time, that definitely like opened my eyes as to, oh, I see why every city in America wants to have gambling. I see why every place wants to get this. This is a real lucrative industry. Before you die, if you're already on the verge of committing suicide, if you think you're going to make some money at the casino, you can just take the rest of your money before you go. And it's
Right.
and even if you win too big, we don't even have to give you the money. There's been so many instances of people that have cracked the code at casinos that have been banned from casinos. Because what they do is if you make a lot of money, you just get banned. There's no law that keeps you from getting banned if the house decides that you're not good for business. And so it's kind of one of those things with taxes, with investing, they're always going to keep you from beating the house. And so, you know, I guess your whole thing is if you play for the house, you're unjust. You know, you can't. So how would you feel about that? With somebody that works for a casino?
That's all. Okay, so there's a difference, like I said, between contracted things or self-inflicted things, or I'm going into, I'm getting got by a casino. That's the whole purpose. We're talking about, government stuff. We're talking about the things that you don't need gambling to survive. You know what I'm saying? You don't need the way these societies are set up. You need transportation. You need a job. You need, grocery. You need food. You need shelter. So if you're the person that's putting somebody out their house, if you're the person that's taking their transportation, taking their shelter, taking their job for bullshit reason, you know what I'm saying? You need to look at that.
Yeah, I agree.
You need to look at that. You need to look at, is what you're doing, like, is your enforcement for something righteous, or is it for some bullshit?
Yeah.
That's kind of what you need to. It's not that we don't need enforcers and we don't need gatekeepers. We definitely do. But what are you gatekeeping? What are you enforcing?
I was walking the dog the other day by the house, and right in front, they was writing tickets. This little lady on the golf cart pulled up with her, with her little vest, and I was like, "Are you writing tickets?" And she sounded so ashamed, but like, "Hey, it's my job,"
Yeah.
And so, we usually see, APD come over there, and they're usually writing tickets.
Oh, and that's a good example of
they've redistributed
people who are the egregious people who will reap karma, is because if you're enforcing something that you yourself are doing, you know what I'm saying? If you're writing tickets to people for running a stop sign, then if you have ever run a stop sign yourself, you're gonna feel that karma. It's kind of like what was that line? Jesus, they put on Jesus in the Bible, let he who is without sin cast the first stone. Mm-hmm. So you need to make sure as well that if you are enforcing, don't be a hypocrite. You know what I'm saying? Don't be a hypocrite. Don't.
But that's how it pretty much is in all systems, because the people that write the laws and make the shit don't have any real experience that is anything close to what we actually go through on a day-to-day basis. Like the lifestyles that they live going back and forth from Congress is not anything similar to what most people, whether you're a farmer, whether you're a blue collar worker, whether you're a military veteran, you know what I'm saying? Like they're so disconnected from the impacts of what they're doing. And so when it comes to people that enforce the laws, especially the higher ups, they usually had to break the laws to get there. Yeah. So from that lens, it's like you got caught. It's a tax for getting caught. That's what I realized in life. They're just going to tax you for existing.
Because you got caught. Yeah, it's part of the simulation. It's part of the game. Like you're gonna lose a few coins. You're gonna get set back maybe a level or two. But you know what I'm saying? You didn't pass that level. And like I was talking to my aunt the other day, Nanny Dora, and she's a prime example of even what I'm talking about. So she just retired 42 years from the IRS. I'm not a fan. I don't know a whole lot of people who are fans of the IRS. However, I can remember when I was a small child. Now she works in taxpayer service, helping people figure out what they need to do. But when I was young, when I was a child, she had gotten a job as what they call something called a revenue agent. And those were the people that come into your business and shut your business down in the middle, just out of the blue. They, the 6 a.m. kick dough, you're out of the blue, everybody walk in, everybody freeze, drop what you're doing. We're putting chains on the door. and yeah, everybody have a nice day. And so, and she did that for a hot second. And then there was a point in time where she didn't feel like, she couldn't do it. She didn't want to do that. Like, she didn't want to shut people down. It was not in alignment with her soul and, what she wanted to be doing. And so she went and found a different role. She stayed at the IRS, but she found a different role. So,
and talking to these companies and businesses before they get shut down to see how they can work things out and get their structure set up correctly and stuff like that. So
yeah. And I was talking to I have a manager at my matrix sponsor, and we were talking the other day about something, and she was being honest and upfront, which is very rare in corporate America, but she was being very honest and upfront about, something she had to either do or disclose. And it was kind of like, and I had a conversation with her, like, there's a way to disclose it. You know what I mean? There's a way as a manager that you can put information forward and spin it the way it needs to be spun, without feeling like you're doing somebody wrong, per se. Some managers have to do things, within their job that, they're not proud of or they may not want to do. But the thing that I appreciate about my current manager is that she's very honest and upfront. The issue that I've always had, and part of what, causes you to sell your soul, is when you're sitting and lying in people's faces. You're lying in people's faces about what's going on. Is there a layoff coming up? Are they about to get fired? You're not giving them the opportunity to prepare for whatever. You're just lying in their face until the hammer drops, or until the axe falls, or whatever that saying is. And when you start doing things like that, that's when you are, like I said, selling your soul to corporate America, because now you're being fraud, you're scamming somebody in their face. Direct, you know what I'm saying? Like, direct, I'm lying to you. And the reason why they lie to you up until the end is because they want the best work out of you, and they don't want you to wig out. They don't want to take the risk of you, as they say, going postal. They used to have a term for the people, like something about the post office. Look that up on AI and see, where did that term come from, quote unquote, going postal. But it's a thing, people, you think that you can depend on these jobs and that they're going to be there for you for life, and then the rug gets pulled out from under you out of the blue, and now you don't know what to do with yourself. So stop. But my solution is stop depending on these jobs to begin with. Yeah, you have to work. Yeah, you have to, pay bills, but you need to be realistic about who you are. You are not a human being to them. You are a human resource. And, when their need for you is done, you will be left, left alone, left out to pasture, set out with the trash. So, you have to keep, even if you're going to operate within these companies and these corporations, you have to make yourself relevant. You have to be paying attention to the shifts that are coming and position yourself to not be as expendable.
Right. And even if it's uncontrollable, just being aware and not having your internal value disrupted whenever something external happens, or you get demoted or released, or not getting that raise you wanted. Like, you need to have your expectations and your understanding of reality kind of separate. And so that way, when something doesn't match, you can move accordingly. And sometimes you have to move the F on.
Your resume should always be up to date. That's all I have to say. Your resume should be a live working document that is always ready to go.
Yeah, ain't no dust on that joint. Keep it shiny. I think the biggest thing nowadays that I think we're seeing is the normalization of that, because not just because people want to always get a better job, but because people are getting fired so frequently and in such large range. So I think it's effed up when everyone that does your job gets fired at the same time, because now the competition for said job is so much higher. Because all the people that were on the same team,
they're all out
are
there
now about to try
now.
to redistribute amongst the other two. Yeah, it's not an easy game to play. So when you get to these, big giants like, Amazon, Microsoft, Google, and Apple, and all these places, it's bad when you see them, because they'll hire way more people than they need because they have so much cash. They're tech giants, and so the
but the business doesn't even have to make sense for a couple years. If we want to start this new initiative, we're trying to develop AI. We're gonna hire a bunch of people to put their brains on it, and as soon as they start making enough progress to where it can start programming itself, you're out of here.
Yep.
Even though a lot of leads for a lot of these programs are even getting fired, so where it's not even like it's about getting that degree and being higher up. If you're just in certain areas, you're on the chopping block. You know what I mean?
Hmm.
So it's like the management positions are being cut, like everything. It's not just, and what they're doing
Yeah.
now is, especially like the Amazons, where it's a lot more manual labor involved. What they're doing is they're dissolving the management and higher up administrative roles and giving those same responsibilities to the
Oh, you know what?
people that are
Yeah, because I
making,
think if I'm not
entry level pay.
mistaken, well, that's the thing. I think if I'm not mistaken, the last like management powwow, like division meeting we've had about, where they love to talk annual meeting where they like to talk about direction and what we're doing and everything. And I think that was something I heard. They're going to be putting in my role, putting a lot more power into my role, whereas I don't have to ask managers for
More
various
power.
approvals and
Tell them
authorities.
nigga,
Yeah.
more responsibility.
Yeah, more
Yeah, we're not paying you
responsibility.
more.
And that's
Yeah.
exactly what I said. I'm like, wait a minute. I low key prefer to ask for a manager's approval because then it's on the manager that I
No,
haven't
now it's
effed
on
up.
you. So we firing you whenever.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah,
But
no,
yeah,
it's
no,
scary. It's
that is
scary how.
definitely a thing. I have heard that in my
And when
own.
you're an entry level worker, you're obviously going to be excited and motivated by getting an increase in responsibility, even though you're not being compensated accordingly. And so it's a really double-edged sword.
Oh yeah. Because they're gonna give me all this
Because
extra
once you're,
power,
once you
but
do,
I ain't getting no extra money right now.
oh gosh.
So I take a
Yeah, but
lot
this is
of
happening across all industries, all jobs. Like they're trying to, this is new,
this,
this is
and
new
that
play.
is the whole part. That is part of my whole point when I talk to people a lot of times is that this is not new. This is not localized to even the government or corp. This is how business is set up. Business is set up this way. It's not, it's not charity work. So you need to understand how you fit into that so you can move accordingly. So you can always be protecting yourself. Um, I start hearing certain things at a company, certain things don't sound right. I start actively, looking for other things. I stay ahead. It's chess, not checkers. You got to stay ahead of the game. And the game hasn't
Right.
changed.
Because they're
That's the
staying ahead.
thing too. The game has not changed. All this stuff and whatever that's going on, it's been going on since the first NPC was birthed. Since the Anki dudes back in the day. So there's no
Yeah, I
family
mean,
or
but like
community
you said, this
within
is
the
how.
workplace.
So I think the biggest thing that we got to talk about is that America is a workplace compared to
It
other
is.
countries where they actually feel like societies. America
Mhm.
is a big ass workplace. And so once you understand that this corporation, the way that they effed up America is it trickles into every other business, every other, like it goes hand in hand. So that's the blueprint. And so now that you know what your blueprint is for this building that you're in, you got
Yeah.
to know,
It's all
yeah,
intertwined. There is no separation of,
there's no separation.
yeah.
Yeah. And so remember how when they taught us in school that, the separation of powers and the three branches and all these things, when you look at it now, everything's looking real blended. It's looking like a smoothie right now. Like I don't see no separation.
Right.
Like Trump got his if
And that separation of powers doesn't mean anything if you put your people into all these different branches. So like, you stack
right,
the
you're separating the same body.
yeah, you stack the Supreme Court with your homeboys, and yeah, then there it's just like it's all a fraud. This whole country was set up based on fraud, and
But it makes sense
even
because we were doing the most. America was
yeah,
doing the most.
yeah,
It
even
was like
down to the fact that when Queen Vicky and them sent Columbus over here or whatever they did, whatever they had going on, pirates and whatever, they were on missions of exploration, and they were supposed to come back and bring information, bring things, and there was sort of back and forth. No, now they don't went rogue, they done killed up all the natives and then started a whole new country, just like Like, that's not what you were supposed to be doing. And I think now it's called theft by conversion, where you came into something by, relatively legitimate means, and then you converted that to something else along the way. But yeah, it's theft. We came and stole this land, and I think, and that's part of the geographical karma that America will always suffer. Like, it's just, I don't think we'll ever have a wonderful, golden, peaceful United States of America, because that's just not how we were born, how we were birthed or born. That's not the programming.
No, I think you're right. I think under the pretenses of calling it America and all, like all that is just, it's wash. You know what I mean? It's not ideal. And so one of the only ways that we can move forward is, obviously being in lockstep and in conjunction with indigenous communities. But it's kind of hard to do that when everyone's extinct and they've been
Yeah.
wiped out
Well,
and
and
they've been
now we're,
isolated.
I guess,
So
and who's to say who's indigenous? I mean, because we call the Native Americans, quote unquote, the different tribes, that some of the lingering tribes that are still here, native, but that was only like a couple thousand years ago. I mean, humans have been on this planet for billions of years. Who's to really say who's native to anywhere? And that's what
who's most
kind of
recent? I
roused
mean,
me up about this whole immigration thing as well. It's like, I tell people all the time, I'm a citizen of this planet, and there's nowhere on this planet I can't go. Period.
yeah.
Period. So
But what we've went from, I mean, like you were saying, with the civilized society or whatever, or civil society, that's what you said
that's what they
earlier.
called it.
Yeah, now we've gotten to this point where we have nation states. You know what I'm saying? We used to have, dynasties and empires and things like that, a little more blurred. And so it's you know, if you're gonna have a nation state, you got to have papers, you got to have documents, you got to have some type of
Yeah,
directive.
means of control, because all of those things are fueled by control, and those are the means of control.
Yeah.
So yeah,
Yeah,
I
no,
don't know.
you can't just vibe out like this whole new earth. So new earth, you can't be attached to that old way of being. Like, no, we're gonna do it this way only, or we have to. Because if that means, what if someone decides I want to do something different? What do you do with them? Are they no longer in the fold? Are they no longer valued? Are they no longer
Mhm.
uh, uh, a s- uh, a member? Like, however that there's always
They're the
a line
community.
in the sand. Yeah, there's always a line in the sand.
You
So you
have
have to buy
so much.
in.
I feel like too, that's why you have a lot of like mental unwellness and people who are just, numbing out and doing whatever, because they're born into these things. They didn't choose it. You know what I mean? Like, you're just born into it. It may not be in
Yeah.
alignment with what your soul is calling for on this planet, but now you've got to adapt, and you've got to figure out how to live within this matrix that, like I said, you didn't choose. And everybody's looking at you, if you don't like kind of acquiesce, or if you don't fit in, then yeah, everybody's looking at you like all the NPCs are looking at you like you're crazy. Oh, oh boy, it's unfortunate.
So the whole point of this
Oh.
broadcast is to have us think about what we're doing every day from 9 to 5, whether it's 5 to 9, whatever your situation is. We're giving something up for these organizations, institutions every day, every week, every month. And so when they decide to pull back from you, are you ready? Are you ready for that? Not just financially, but physically. Like, a lot of these people are coming to this country under the pretenses that they're going to be working, and that's the only way that they can
Hmm.
be here. So
Yeah.
Trump is like,
And
no, no
now they're
more
not even
visas.
giving
There's
people.
nothing.
Now they're taking away the visas. You can't even come here to work.
Yeah, yeah, you don't even get to no. Like, there's none of that. So, imagine what that type of, like, nobody. A lot of people couldn't even fathom what that's like. You haven't seen your real family in 5 years.
Hmm.
You've been over here in graduate school. Trying to do something. You know what I mean? So, everybody has their pain points, but we got to look at the big picture. We're all
Yeah.
feeding into this. It's not just one person. It's not just Trump. It's not like there's so many people that are, making this work. And so when you see what's being defunded and what's being funded in times like this, you understand what the directive is for the society. And so if we're pulling back on research, we're pulling back on health, we're pulling back on insurance. You know what I'm saying? We're building more buildings though. We're trying to expand. We're
Mhm.
still making more concrete. We're still finding more lithium deposits. You know, it was funny.
Mhm.
We're going into conspiracy time fraud department. One of the big things that happened last year in the Asheville area, North Carolina, they had those storms come through, and they're now deeming a lot of these areas unlivable. And so, if you were once living here and you had land, now they're about to be pulling some eminent domain BS because they found lithium deposits all up and down through the mountains. And so, if we're trying to go to this EV route, we're trying to build all these supercomputers. We know lithium is very important.
And then if they
And
say it's
so,
not
one of these
habitable, then they don't even have to compensate you for it.
exactly, that's why I said it's eminent domain like, but it's not because they're not even pulling that whole card. It's like
Right.
you don't even get to be here because we're deeming it unsafe. So you don't get to decide where you live. We have to say that this is a feasible set of land or plot that you get to start building on. Like that's how our society works. And so foundationally, it's jacked up because now we have systems and technology where we can control weather. We can control whether people get access to resources or whether people get flooded, whether you know what I mean? Like these things are controllable
Hmm.
now.
Whether you have clean drinking
Relatively. You
water,
know,
whether
they
you have
decide
clean drinking water.
right, right. And so if we want to, get rid of your property values, we don't have to come and destroy your homes and burn them down like we did back in the day in Tulsa, you know what I'm saying? We'll just give you contaminated water. We'll just say that there's some arsenic in the
We'll
soil.
just
We'll
kill
just
you
go ahead
off.
and put some
Yeah.
right, but kill you slowly. So that way you're still feeding into the system, you're still paying bills, you know, you're still useful. And so that's what's going on in Memphis and a lot of other places. It's going to continue to keep happening. I mean, it's going to happen in Georgia too. I mean, there's a lot of development going on here, not just for that, but AI data centers is going to be a thing. We have space, we have open land that you can go plop some ish down on. So, you know,
Hmm.
yeah. I'm not going to get on here and say get out and vote and whoop de whoop de whoop de whoop, but just start to think that there are people that are controlling these things. It's not just, you know, one person. So a lot of times right now, I feel like we're in this era of Trump, 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 Trump. But let's look at the many Trumps and the other people that have been around longer than him, the archetypes
Yeah.
that continue to
But
keep.
here's the thing too, like you said, with a lot of these cities and things like that, Trump isn't making these decisions. Like I know, like I had a conversation with,
He's
um,
setting the standard.
well, no, I don't know if it's even that. I just know that, they're constantly talking about, specifically in Atlanta, we're full, of course, as they always say, but there's always this discussion about infrastructure. We don't have the infrastructure yet, and still in Midtown Atlanta, all you see are high rises going up. So, then those are, if I'm not mistaken, those are city council people making these decisions and allowing these, building permits and things of that nature. Trump ain't got nothing to do with that. So people need to get out. People need to get more involved in their local communities. Like I think a lot of the voting people have been saying that for a long
Yeah, what
time.
you're
Like,
saying is the stuff that really makes you more so in general, which you're right.
mm-hmm,
But there's also the more national initiatives that if the federal government says, "Hey, we're not reimbursing states for this, we're reimbursing states for that." SNAP, for example, Kim and them got to decide, "Hey, are we going to bite the bullet?" And it's either yes or no.
mm-hmm,
It's really, what I mean? So, but yeah, with the local stuff and the city council stuff, I think it's really interesting because those are positions that go overlooked, but in certain
mm-hmm.
places where people complain a lot, there's not always as high of voting numbers as well.
Right, or participation in those meetings. Yeah,
So,
like when they put those signs out on
right.
the street that say, "Hey, there's a meeting on such and such day at such and such place or time." Yeah, you might want to see what that's about.
Right.
Because usually when they put up those public meeting notices, it's because there's something that's getting ready to impact you. And they're required to put that up, but people just ignore it. People don't pay attention until the impact is already here. And then it's like now they want to, wave their hands like, well, this is not the time, is not now. The time was then to put your 2 cents in. Now you want to be upset because you weren't paying attention.
Right. Because you have to
So,
pay. I think that's the biggest thing. You have to pay. If you're
with your time. Time is
giving
money.
something attention, you're paying for it. Right.
Oh my God.
But yeah,
Yeah.
I think that was a good run. I think that was things. We're selling our soul, and so that's the system that we're in right now. Soul separately. I think
Yeah.
that should be the title. You got to sell your soul separately. You got to keep that to yourself. You got to protect that. You know what I mean? Even if you're giving your
Hmm.
time throughout the day, your creativity, your brain power, you got to keep that soul separately, and don't sell it to anybody, of course. But it shouldn't be at the drop of a couple dollars. But yeah, you got any last words?
No, I think actually my last words are actually I'm lost out here in these woods.
Look a little lost. You look like you're
I
gonna
don't
turn
know
around.
where it is.
Well, while you're
Right
lost, let's make our announcement that we
here.
forgot to
Yes.
make.
So yes, yay. If you've listened this long, we'll have to probably clip this and do a shorter announcement. But yes, so if you are ready to deprogram yourself from all this nonsense, wake up, remember who you really are, what you're here for, all these things, then Soul Sync Subliminals is now available on the Apple App Store. And
Whoop.
we will have some more information. I'll be building out basically 95% of everything that we do, think, the decisions that we make are done on a subconscious level. So where subliminals or where normal affirmations can sometimes fail is that as you're trying to speak things to yourself, the ego mind has its time and its chance to be counterproductive to those positive affirmations and kind of re-talk you back out of whatever positivity you were trying to put there. So with subliminals, it targets the subconscious directly and reprograms you on a subconscious level, so that the ego doesn't have time to argue with you. And it's much more efficient, doesn't take up as much time. Actually, it doesn't take any time because all you have to do is literally listen to the tracks. So I'm super excited. More information to come. The app there'll be a link in the a link in the pinned comment section to download the app. There's lots of free subliminals, everything from love and relationships, health and healing, better sleep, anxiety, healing inner child wounds. And what I'm really excited about is there's an interactive feature where you can suggest a subliminal. And I really, really, really encourage people to do that because I want this app to be what people need it to be. I don't want it to just be what I decide to put out there. So the more you give me feedback, the more you suggest subliminals, I can build out the library to fit the needs of the people.
In the big 2-5, we are
Big two
almost at
five.
to the big 2-6, and we know 2-6 is a very important number for your journey and everything
It
we have.
is.
I think it's a blessing that we've been able to put this out there and share it, and we can't wait to hear how it's impacting the streets. So yeah, I
Yeah.
call it it's like subconscious lotion
Yeah, it's like
almost, like it just
basically if
absorbs into your
yeah, it's like get out of your own way. That's what people like. A lot of people say, oh, you need to get out your own way. If you've ever heard anybody say you need to get out of your own way, that's what this is. Your ego is in your way, in the way of your manifestation, your best life. Whatever it is that your soul is trying to call in, whatever is going to make you feel
Ooh,
purposed in
I
life.
wanted to, oh my gosh, why did I say this? You know what's
Mhm.
next? I'll record one for athletes. We got to do one for athletes. Pre-game, post-practice, recovery. We got to do something for the athletes, man. I think that's very important.
Yeah, we can do a lot. I mean, I put it in the suggestion box. Throw it in there.
Just getting in your own way. I think that's the first. That was the first time I
That
heard
could
it
be the
because it was
first
like
one.
one of the big. Your performance is not based on physical capabilities. It's usually
It's
based on
mental.
focus and your
Hmm.
ability to not be distracted by negative thought patterns. That's really it. Because you're gonna mess up every single time. Is whether you get stuck in that rut, stuck in that cycle, and
Right.
same thing in life. And
Yep.
so I feel like while it can be used by anyone outside of athletes, athletes usually have that oh yeah, no, I am in my own
Yeah.
way. Like, you know what it is.
Mhm.
You can see.
Yeah, and it's just like that you know, how are you going to perceive this? You know, did I lose today, or was this just practice for my win? You know what I mean? Was this just you know, am I failing, or am
All
I
I do
just
is win, win, win.
rehearsing for my success? Like, it's all about your mindset. It's all about how you go into these things, what you're going to get out of it. So we'll have
Right.
some more information coming very soon. And the big thing is the app, Soul Sync Subliminals. The app itself is the only place that you will be able to access the Elephant in the Room audio version. So we will be recording that and uploading that over the next 30 days, as well as building out the library with a bunch of different things. Maybe Aiden, maybe you can record the subliminal for the athletes.
That's what I was saying. Yeah, I think that's a good idea.
Mm-hmm. Yep. So yeah. So thank you all for joining us today. I know we were just a little bit just kind of just having a little conversation, nothing super formal. We'll probably talk about a few more of these things on the next episode. And
On the next
until then, if I can find my way out of here, out of this forest, because my phone is also about to go dead. So that's cute. But yeah. All right. Thanks so much for joining us. Namaste. Have a good week.
Leave some breadcrumbs.